This is an SM Media production.
Hi, folks, and welcome to the latest episode of the SM Media East of Scotland football show. I'm Scott McPike. It's a pleasure, as always, to be your host. I'm delighted to welcome my special guest on this week's episode. It's a pleasure to welcome the manager of Hawick Royal Albert, Kenny Aitchison. Kenny, it's a pleasure to welcome you on, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure, mate. How you been?
Yeah, it's been good. It's we're settling down for Christmas now, so today was my last day at work, so I'm just going to be chilling out for the next week. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's always a good time of the year to be in front of the telly and kind of looking ahead, watching football on screen as opposed to being in the spotlight. But I have to ask you about Hawick's season so far. Obviously, sitting in fourth in the third division. We were talking off here before we press record about how difficult last season was and coming down. How you kind of felt it so far? It's been a positive start. 11 games in, 8 wins. You must be happy with that.
Over the moon, to be honest with you. Comparing this stage now to where we were a year ago, I had 2 points going into the Christmas period, and it was a very tough period. I remember driving through to Hawick, and my car actually broke down, and the engine blown up. I was thinking, how low can I get? This is horrible. But we've got through it. It's now been 18 months in the role, and we've got 25 points compared to our two last year. So it's dream world for me, and it's way more than we would have anticipated getting at this point.
So, you've been surprised by like kind of coming down and seeing the standard, the level. That there's good sides in there. Like you look at like Bathgate have obviously been top. Hart Hill have really kicked on. West Calder were unlucky last season. It's a good standard in the league.
I would say so. I think there was a lot of doom and gloom, especially last year, because we knew by getting relegated, we weren't necessarily playing easier opposition. There's a lot of good junior established teams in there that have only, that haven't been promoted simply because of the quality ahead of them. And it's no surprise that the clubs getting promoted from this division are subsequently getting promoted from the next, So it's a really strong standard, certainly compared to last season. But yeah, I mean, it's good to see clubs like Bathgate and obviously Hart Hill, who are bottom of the league last season. These clubs, like ourselves, have significantly improved. And I must say, so many battles this season. There's been so many close games where you're thinking, God, I'll take a draw this game, and you end up getting the winner, and it's just been relentless, really. So it's been brilliant in the same way,
I'm just looking at some of your results kind of off here before we look. I'm looking at that big result, a 2-1 win away to Bathgate. I think you're the only team to beat Bathgate this season. How big a game was that, and a result against them, and kind of building on for the season for that?
Yeah, I think that was a catalyst. We had a good run of form after that. I think we came 6 or 7 games in a winning streak there in the league. We'd played a game just the Tuesday night there. We'd been 2-0 up against Livingston United at home, and they came 3-2 at one point in the game, and we had to get a last minute goal to equalise.
Yeah.
So that was a real turning point, the Bathgate game. We came to the game quite relaxed. We weren't expecting much from the tie. We scored a terrific goal through Harry Fowler, and Greg Ford again put us 2-1 just at half time with a terrific finish. We shared a lot on our social media for sure, and we defended really, really well, and that's probably been the main sort of reason we've won so many games. We've defended exceptionally well in these matches, and a lot of them have been a sort of smash and grab type of performance. So yeah, that was certainly the catalyst, and it wasn't. We've played them twice this season. Actually, we beat them at home 2-1 in one of the cup competitions. So it's good for our guys, because once you've beaten these teams and you've been through a battle, it helps you for the next one. It gives you confidence when it's tough that you've had the experience of getting through them. And last season we dropped so many points from winning positions because we couldn't see games out, and it's something that we've really learned and grown into the team.
I'm looking as well. I see the past the 3 weeks before this weekend, all your games were postponed. Now that's fairly expected at this time of year. But how hard is it to kind of keep the side motivated, keep the side the kind of energetic you're into a game? Livingston United away was obviously the game on Saturday. We'll touch on that when we look at the third division. But those 3 weeks off, how did you just kind of keep it going?
It was a tough period, certainly. I think most of the problems actually come up when you're not playing. That's when people have a bit of freedom to think, and they can suddenly come to you with issues that they weren't previously there. So it was certainly a tough period. With regards to ourselves, we train once a week. So for me to make Hawick more attractive to players, you actually find that by giving them one night a week to compensate for the travel, it makes you more attractive to people. Not everybody wants to train twice a week due to their personal circumstances. So what we do is we train once a week, and we just make the training's got a good condition element of it. And like a sort of personal trainer program, we just make sure the intensity is higher every week so that they're getting those gains. But there's also a lot of trust for us to the players, because the players are training once a week, we give them a bit of independence and freedom to do their own training. And we're there just for advice and stuff. But certainly on Saturday, we could tell the players were really, really rusty. It got to the point with 70 minutes, we were actually just asking the team who can make the 90 minutes, who can play. And that's how we were deciding our substitutions. But to go away with a 4-1 win in that game was a terrific performance. It's the most goals we've scored in a game this year. And I'm quite glad that we don't have to play Livingston anymore, because I think that with their new coach, I think they will improve. I think they had really good signs early on. I don't think it was a 4-1 game, but because we've had a more established team, we've had that history and confidence in winning games, I think that was the main difference. So it was good to get through that game. The only one we played in that 3 weeks was a sort of closed door game against Heriot Watt on the Monday, and they absolutely battered us. They bored us with possession football, and it was just relentless, and it was a good sort of preparation for this game. It's maybe why they were tired, to be fair. They just had to defend all game against them, so.
We'll move into talking about the action over the weekend with a full card for once. I think that's the first time since we started the show we've actually had a full list of fixtures to talk about across the divisions. But fascinating weekend. Let's start in the Premier Division. Probably the game that caught the eye the most was Hutchison Vale 3, Jeanfield 2. Joe Viola with a double. It obviously puts Hutchie Vale into third. It's becoming quite tight up there now. Broxburn, obviously, we'll get to them in a second, but that's a huge result for Hutchie Vale. It's only Jeanfield's second defeat of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Hutchie Vale man. That was my team through my youth career, and I know Ryan he's done a terrific job there. With their budget compared to teams in and around them, I think their position's exceptional, really. So kudos to them. Jeanfield Swifts, I think, are a really big community club. Obviously, I don't know too much about their team, but I certainly know the reputation that they hold, and it's a hard one to judge. Just looking at the league table here, there's a lot of good teams that are still in it, and we're probably only 40% of the season through, so that could very much change over the winter period, and it's an unpredictable league. Like ourselves, you don't know where the next result can come from.
That's it. Broxburn 0, Haddington Athletic 0. That's a lot of people were saying that was the game of the weekend, but I think when you look at it, just looking at the kind of match reports and stuff I've read, I think it was two sides who just didn't want to get beat.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, the Kevin Haynes has a great squad at his disposal, and I get jealous every time I see a player that signs for that club, and I go, if only. And I think a good shout out to Scott Boner, the job he's doing at Haddington Athletic. When I was younger, Scott was a coach at Hearts, and everybody always said to me, if you want to learn how to coach, just watch some of Scott's sessions. And I think for those in the West that don't know Leeds of Scotland, I think Haddington are certainly a perfect blueprint for a club. They historically were in the lower ends of junior football, and since coming to East of Scotland, I think what Scott Bonner's provided them is just a conveyor belt of young players. They're doing it the right way for me. They're bringing young lads in, they're developing them. And I think there's somebody that's built a fantastic foundation, under Scott. But a 1-1 draw seems fair, I guess, based on where they both are,
Yeah, absolutely. Musselburgh drew 2-2 with Tynecastle, a last-minute equaliser for Evans. So that'll be they'll look at that as a big point, Musselburgh. Tynecastle, obviously, doing really well also, but Musselburgh get those games in hand on Dunbar and Hutchie Vale. They'll be looking at that as a massive point gained.
Yeah, certainly. I think Musselburgh are still in the mix. If they win their 2 games in hand, they're chasing Broxburn with only 6 games on them. I think they've got Liam Burns, who's another fellow young coach, and I would imagine that he's the type of guy that will still be trying to implement things in his team, and put these ideas, and these take time. So Musselburgh for me are somebody who, on that basis, could probably finish really strongly if they can, keep developing.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move into Glenrothes is 2, Socky Juniors 3. Mark Smith with a double. It puts Socky into 6th place. They've played 16 games, won 9 of them. I think Socky probably at this stage they'll be thinking like a few of those games, like the 6 defeats, they lost them by the odd goal. They'll have been hoping they could maybe turn them into wins and they could have been in a really good position.
Yeah, I think it's a crucial period for clubs like Socky, sitting there around mid-table. I think if they can pick up a few results and put them within playing obviously the promotion place, it will give their squad a bit more motivation. But likewise, if they fail to win and pick up points, they could find themselves in no man land in mid-table, and it's hard to motivate a squad when you're in that position. So that'll be interesting to see how they cope.
Are you surprised at Glenrothes' position so far this season?
I'm not really too sure about Glenrothes' squad, to be fair to you. I know they've had a point deduction, for an eligible player, and I think that's just probably sums them up, really, doesn't it? But I think they would be quite happy, certainly with the position, if they were to try and establish a mid-table side position, But like I said, it just shows the quality of the league that a team like Glenrothes are in the relegation spaces, so that would be interesting for sure,
Probably the result of the weekend. Dunbar United 1, Hill of Beath 2, Tosh and Watt with the goals. Hill of Beath, that could just be a big win. No many places teams will go to Dunbar United and win.
No, definitely. And they've got a big Astro there, haven't they? Which is contrary to what Hill of Beath have, I think. Yeah, I mean, it's Hill of Beath have again, for me, are another well-established club. They've got 4 or 5 teams in the senior leagues that regularly give them players, don't they, on loan? So yeah, that'll be a good one,
Crossgates 1, Pennycook Athletic 1. Pennycook sitting 21 points with 15. Crossgates are on 12 points with 15 games. So kind of probably an even game. I think just looking at it, Crossgates, I think they'll have obviously, where Inverkeithing winning as well, they'll be hoping they can get a couple of wins on the board and hopefully they'll become a drift.
Yeah, I think for Pennycook as well, I think Lewis Coates managed to sort of steady the ship there. There's a lot of pressure probably still on him, and I think it's probably unfair towards him. But I speak to a few guys in their team, and they seem to have responded really well to his characteristics and his coaching style. And there's always really good reviews of him. For me, he'd probably be a good guest for your show because he's one of the characters at this level. He was at Edinburgh United last season, and we had a good few arguments in the touchlines there. But like I said, he seems to be doing really well, and hopefully that Pennycook are a club that can sort of pick up and be where they were last season, which was in the top end of the table.
Yeah, a bit of a chaotic summer, didn't they?
Yeah, 3 managers, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate for any club that they've not managed to keep them. But again, they've signed some really good players. They've got guys like Leo Buckle, should I say, the Ukrainian lad. He's brought in a few guys from Edinburgh United, and despite a few headline results like the Tynecastle one earlier in the season, they seem to calm down a little bit. And I think if they can consolidate themselves, I think with a young squad, you're only going to get better from there if they can keep them.
Yeah, absolutely. Luncarty 2, Dundonald Bluebell 3. Dundonald Bluebell, I think, are another team who've got the games in hand as well, and they've just been very, very solid this season.
Yeah, I think Dundonald, generally have a very good squad. I know guys like Scott Jury there, ex-East 5 player. It's a club that I watched quite a lot. My work, who make custom kits, we supplied them a few years ago, and I'd always kept an eye on the results. But yeah, I mean, like ourselves, we're 9 points behind first, and that 9 points can make a big difference if they can get that between the teams between them. So certainly a big period for Dundonald. If they can do well mid-season, it'll set them up for a good finish, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. And probably a huge 3 points for Inverkeithing. They won 2-0 away to Canoe. Canoe obviously really struggling, but Inverkeithing, but Hill of Beath winning and Crossgates drawing, they'll look to that as a massive game.
I think so, and obviously Inverkeithing are going through a bit of a transition. I know Jason Dare had departed, I think, a month or so ago, and they've brought in an Edinburgh lad and Jason McGrindle. So it's all changed there, and it'll be interesting to see how they develop, you know, over the next few months when the new manager starts to stamp his mark on things, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to put you in the spot before the
Oh, yeah.
Christmas period. We're probably halfway through the season. If I was to
Yeah.
say who's going to win the Premier Division at this time, who would be the favourites?
I really don't know. That's the truth. I've probably not watched enough games to know these teams fairly, but looking at the table there, I would suggest that Broxburn historically they're a really big club. I had the pleasure of going there for a women's team I coached a couple of years ago and got to know the staff there. They were unlucky in the Scottish. They just lost narrowly to Bucky on penalties.
Yeah.
And you know, I think previously they've always been up there. I think it was Bonnyrigg that beat them in a playoff a long time ago. So yeah, I think Broxburn for me would probably be the favourites on that basis. But like I said, it'd be interesting to see how Hutchie Vale do. I think they could be, you know, a real challenge if they can keep it going. And likewise with Musselburgh, once Liam Burns keeps things going. But what about yourself? What do you think?
I would probably say Broxburn at the moment, yeah. But I think like you look at the games in hand, Jeanfield can make it up, but now I think Broxburn have been very consistent. I've been very impressed with how they've won, and there is some of the results as well. I mean, they've been very, very impressive. I thought so far, like 1-2-1 away to Luncarty, 7-3 away to Inverkeithing. The only like 5-0 home to Tynecastle, 6-0 home to Canoe. They're big results, and they can that like goal difference can be all like see if it's a tight league like that, goal difference can be massive. So I think I would probably lean towards Broxburn at the minute, but I think there's a lot of football still to be played. First division, probably the tightest league in world football. Newton Grange Star 5-1 winners over Lacour Thistle. They go to top. They're still top, 33 points for 17 games. They've got the games in the bag, but 5 different goal scorers. One thing that really catches your eye with Newton Grange is they've got a lot of depth.
Yeah. I mean, we played our very first game of pre-season was against Newton Grange Star, and they're carrying a younger team this year. I know they brought their manager Paul up from the under-20s, and like I said, I think they've had a very stable season, considering the average age of the squad's probably a little bit lower than they've had in previous years. But it'll be a very tough one, won't it? Came winner up there. They've invested a lot into the club, you know, with the Syngenta guys coming on board. And St Andrews, for me, were a club I was really impressed with. We played them last season, and I thought they were the best team that we played against last year. They've got some really good players, and I know they've got strong ambitions to get up the pyramid. So I would certainly fancy them to get into those playoff places. But yeah, it's an impressive league. You look at the quality of these teams, and you go, wow, they shouldn't be in this division. But you say the same as you go up the table as well, don't you?
Aye, that's it. Dunnipace, obviously, big result for them. They won 2-1 away to Arniston. They've got the games in hand as well with Camelin. Camelin won 2-0 at Kirkcaldy. St Andrews, late penalty for Lewis Sawyer's got a 1-0 win over Whitehill Welfare. And as you say, the top 4 kind of look, as you say, like Dunnipace, I wouldn't rule them out either. I think they've got a lot of depth in the forward areas as well.
Yeah, I've played Dunnipace away before, and every time I've been there, I've been absolutely battered. You know, they're a good team. And you know, I think for me they'll probably be the favourites, considering they've got games in hand and knitting, and they've got a really impressive setup. I don't know if their pitch has been repaired yet. It's the last time I looked into them, somebody damaged it.
Yeah.
But certainly for me, they're a team that I think will eventually gain promotion. I think it's just a matter of time. But it'll be interesting to see if the other guys can keep up the pace and keep the challenge on.
Yeah, absolutely. Big Heriot Watt drew 1-1 with Whitburn. I would get your thoughts on Heriot Watt. Obviously, he played them in a bounce game a couple of weeks ago. A real young team, but like their position in the league, I thought they'd have been a bit higher up, to be honest.
I think so. I think it's just the nature of having a university team. Unfortunately, the players aren't under conventional contracts. They're there to study. And they're a unique team. I think they're one of the ones that you can't really compare to those around them. What they're blessed with is they've got obviously fantastic facilities at Oriam. They've got a coach called BJ Koya, who I know very well. And they've played a completely different brand of football. You know, the stuff that they teach the guys is streets ahead on a tactical level to what we've ever been up against. And I think that's why they're doing well. I think they've got young players, because they've obviously come from an educational background. They can take these tactical points on board, and they've got great facilities and a good coach to build it with. So I think with time they'll do well. I think it's just a matter of time that these younger players, learn these new habits that they're being coached, and I can see them being right up there. Arguably, I think they're overachieving with a promotion last year. So I think they're understanding of that. I don't think there'll be much pressure on them for sure.
No, I would have thought so either. Oakley United 2, Leith Athletic 2, Gallican and Simpson with the goals for Oakley. Oakley, I want to get your thoughts on both Oakley and Vale of Leven. Vale of Leven obviously will come up in a minute, but that's a big point for Oakley, and it's just one of those that when you're having such a bad run and it's just making a free fall for them for last season, that they'll take that point as a massive accomplishment.
I think so. I think comparing us to Oakley, we were only on the 2 last year, and it's the thing about being bottom is you can win a game every 3 matches, and that gets you up the ladder. So it's just about them just taking each game as it comes and trying to salvage where they are from this position. Considering the fact that they're 3 games behind Leith Athletic, I would certainly rather be in that position to have it in your own hands for sure. But that'll be an interesting one. They've done really well. They won their league. I think they won the 2nd division a couple of years back, and there seemed to be a bit of inside politics. Their manager left, so I guess it's just a period of transition for them, which is natural. Just trying to find the right coach and build that squad, But historically, Oakley are always up there, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Vale of Leven lost 2-0 at home to Rosyth. Mo and Ormiston with the goals for Rosyth. Vale of Leven, though, they had their chances. They saved a penalty. Their goalkeeper saved a penalty, Chris Malcolm. Rosyth up to 6th. They're probably kind of flying under the radar as well.
Yeah, I think Rosyth are a team I've not played for a couple of years yet. But I remember when I did with Craig Royston, they were a good footballing side. They played from back all the time, and they scored some terrific goals against us. But I don't know too much, to be honest, about their squad at the moment. But they seem to be doing really well when you look at the league table. They're not far off it.
Yeah, Preston and Blackburn drew 1-1. Very even game. They're in very similar positions in the league. I think both sides will probably be happy with that.
Yeah, I know the Preston squad quite well. John Daly is a guy that I used to play with back in 2011. And what John does is he's well connected with younger teams, having went through the youth teams. He built a really good Newcastle Hall side, Newcastle Wee Fix side, where a majority of these players, like your John Robertsons at East Kilbride, your Alison Jones up at Trinent, he brought some really good players through. And they're a team that I think are still building. They've got really good guys like Robbie Walker in the team. They signed Yarrick, the Thai player who used to play with Hibs. They've got guys on the bench that I'm just begging to get on loan, because I know they're good quality. But they're too close to the first team, apparently. So it's an impressive setup. My dad was the coach there back in '94, so it's a team I used to come when I was younger, and run about the stand while the games are going on. So it's a team that's have a wee affinity for in Preston.
Very good. 2nd division, the top 3 all win. Edinburgh South move into 3rd place, but we'll start with the league leaders. Bowness Athletic 7-0 over Coldstream. Michael Weir with 4 goals. I just feel as if when I think we do obviously do the player of the week, you try not to put the goal scorers up all the time. But he's unbelievable. And it's fascinating with Bowness. Like, obviously, spoke about this last week. They had a lot of depth last season. Like the boy Daramola that went to Kelty, the boy Grant Rose that went up north. They had a lot of depth, but they've replaced them very well.
Yeah, I think that was always going to be the challenge for Bowness, but who doesn't want to come into a club that's winning all the time? They absolutely strolled our division last season, and it's no surprise they are where they are just now. You would fancy Bowness to get promoted next season as well, and possibly even after that. So I think it's only a matter of time that those guys are on the doors of the Lowland League. And you look at these clubs, and you can only be envious. Like I said, they've invested so much into the team, and they've got fantastic facilities. I know one of the coaches, Eric, the goalkeeper coach who helps them out, and it's always fascinating to see their problems in comparison to ours when he reports them. But yeah, I think it's only a matter of time, and it's just up to the teams below them to try and get the 2nd and 3rd spot for me.
Yeah, Armadale are making a good fight of it as well. They won 7-0 as well. Cammy Jackson with a hat trick against Edinburgh United. Yep. Armadale again, they're a similar side they've come up the league and they've just taken to it really well again.
Yeah, again, they've got a great structure down at the club. it's another club I worked with in supplying kits. And like I said, it says a lot about clubs. I can always tell how our club's organised because every time I spoke to Armadale, they were always on the ball. They had the orders ready, very early in the season. It's probably testament to how they run the club. They did have a change in manager last season, and it seems that the new manager is just, taking the momentum on. And similar to Bowness, I'd be very surprised if they weren't to get promoted, to be honest with you. So I can expect them to finish very strong, certainly.
Edinburgh South are now in third place. You look at that kind of third to sixth place. Like Edinburgh South 1-1 Thornton Hibs 1-2 at home to Edinburgh College. It's really tight in there.
It is, yeah. And Edinburgh South were a team, again, last season, they were probably in the 11th or 12th spot. And I think it's credit to what Ainsley's done at the club. I think their method of building a team is something that we can only look for inspiration. They've gradually just brought good quality players on board, and it's testament to why they're doing so well. I think if they were to get promoted, it would be, an unbelievable season for them. It's a club that was only in the East of Scotland for, I think, 2 or 3 seasons now. So hopefully they can keep up the momentum. And the good thing for them is they've still got 3 games in hand with Dalkeith that's 11 points with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Big ones for Easthouse's Lily. They won 2-0 away to Newborough. Peebles won 4-0 at home to Stirling Uni. I think that's a big result for Peebles, actually.
Yeah, I think so. There was a lot of criticism at Peebles early in the season, but they seem to have sort of steadied the ship a little bit, and they've got some good wins in there. Peebles is a team that frustrated me last season. We were minutes from beating them before one of our players decided to punch one of their players and give away a free kick, the edge of the area, to which they scored. And that was when we'd only had 2 points in the table. So there's a wee bit of, I don't know, I always look at Peebles and just remember that game, and it bugs me a lot. But like I said, they've done really well. They're a Borders club, and like ourselves, it's really hard to recruit players for these teams. And for their circumstance, I think they're doing very, very well. It's only 2 or 3 wins, and they're right up in the mid-table in the league, and that would be a sort of great finish for their resources in comparison to everyone else's.
Certainly. Final result in second division that was played on Sunday, it was Tweedmouth 4, Dalkeith Thistle 1. And Tweedmouth, with that result, takes them from 16th to 13th. It just shows you what 1-1 can do.
Yeah, but I don't know about you, but I'm quite pleased to see Tweedmouth doing really well. The manager, Kev, is somebody I've spoke to for a good few years now, and we both just phone each other and just moan about how hard life is and football is. And it's really pleasing to see them get some really good results recently. I know that they've had a really, really tough start.
What's the situation with the park? Are they playing at Berwick's Park? Are they playing at Sheffield?
I don't know. They used to be adjacent to each other. They used to play over the wall, but I don't know. For what I've seen through pictures of the games, I think that they've probably moved up to Berwick Stadium. But they were a weird one. They finished mid-table last season, and obviously with Kev coming in, there wasn't too much of a change in the squad, but they started a little bit slowly. But like I said, from the reports I heard on Sunday, I heard they absolutely blew Dalkeith away in that game. And like I said, you kind of root for these teams that are struggling that are able to turn it around, because we've been there ourselves, so there's a bit of respect for that, and Dalkeith as well. We beat them 2-1 last season, which was one of the rare wins. And the job that Jockey's doing there, he's been there a long time. They're always there about the promotion places. So, a real bad one for them, and hopefully they can turn it round.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move on to the third division. We'll start obviously at Livingston United 1, Hawick 4. The 2 Fowler boys get on the score sheet, Ford and Milne with the goals. What were your overall takeaways, and how important are those guys been to your squad?
Yeah, I think, as I said, when I came in 18 months ago, one of the main selling points for it was there was a good core of white players in the squad. Harry Fowler, somebody we brought in at the age of 16. We signed him from Portobello Boys Club. His older brother Tom was also on the score sheet. And having a good core nucleus of players that are local is a great thing to have, and it's been pivotal for us to develop the team around them. Coming into Saturday, it was, as we mentioned earlier, it was 3 weeks until we'd actually played a game. Since we'd played a game, and I felt both teams were just very, very rusty. But what I will say is I don't think it was purely reflective on the game. I thought Livingston started really, really well, and there were just small decision making, small moments that turned in our favour. At 2-0 up, they'd got a penalty, which our goalkeeper saved, and I think that changed the outcome of the game. It just gave us that confidence to score 2 set pieces. And it's always nice to get your 2 centre halves on the score sheet, which doesn't often happen. It's usually just Harry and Greg that score every week, so it's good for everybody else to to share the goals this time.
Do you think you said obviously about Livingston United, obviously with new manager, they've been a side they've obviously struggled this season. Do you see them really kind of pushing on now?
I think so. I think what I will say is when I was down at Livingston, I was really impressed with the hospitality. The guys and the volunteers were very welcoming, and they've got all the assets there to sort of build the team. They've been through a few manager changes, and I think that's just them trying to find the right candidate. And you would rather make a change early than have somebody in the role that wasn't enthusiastic and right. And like I said, they brought some trialists in. I thought the team were very positive. They came well prepared, and it was despite us drawing with them, it was a very difficult game for us. And like I said, I think the turning point was my squad have played together longer. We've got a bit more confidence, and that's how we were a bit more decisive in that game for me. Like I said, I'm glad we're not playing them again this season, and I do fancy them to pick up more points than they've got already. So hopefully they can do us a favour with the teams above us and around us,
Yeah, absolutely. Edinburgh Community 1, Hart Hill Royal 2, McAteer and Robertson with the goals. And that's again, Hart Hill, obviously with Bathgate not playing, that'll be a big 3 points for them, and it obviously brings them closer to top spot.
Yeah, I was gutted when I saw that score in the end. I've known Edinburgh were competing really well, and I thought, with Hearts beating Celtic, I thought this is going to be the perfect weekend for me. But I think Edinburgh Community are a good team. They've signed some really good players like William Scott, Yogi. They've got a really good young team, and I just think they've been in a position where they've just maybe been unlucky in games like they've had on Saturday. Chris Scott's a good coach. He's very well connected, and I think they're going for a more organic growth where they bring in young players and develop them, as opposed to just throwing money at it and bringing in additions quickly. So I do fancy them to surprise a few teams and pick up some results. But yeah, they were very unlucky. Hart Hill were a horrible team to play when we had them. We played them 4 weeks ago, and they have like the reincarnation of Rory Delap in their team. Honestly, every time the ball's out of play in our half, they throw it into the box. The guy can reach it. And we played them, and we ended up with, I think when we've done the stats in the end, there was 44 crosses and throw-ins on top of our keeper that game, and it was the defining point in the end when they beat us 4-1. But like I said, they're a team that were struggling last season. I think they've done well. They've recruited a lot of guys from a club called Scoutable FC.
I've seen that, yeah.
And some of them are really, really good players. The teams that we mentioned previously can do us a favour and start signing some of their players, and hopefully that will cut their momentum a little bit, because they have got a really talented squad, and if they can keep these players, which I think they've done, they've signed a lot of them for next season. I think they can continue to be a challenge this year for sure, and certainly compete with Bathgate at the top.
Yeah, absolutely. West Calder, they won 3-1 at home to London Hotspur. West Calder obviously 2 points above Juju's, have got a game in hand, but West Calder obviously last season they were unlucky not to get promoted, but they just seem to have a habit of winning at home. I think they've got a really good record at home actually.
Yeah, we've got 100% away record, so it'll be interesting when we play them up there. But yeah, they're a good team. I mean, they're full of players that are experienced, that are physical, and when we played them at home, we went 1-0 up, and we just gave away sloppy goals. And there was a theme, a lot of them were from set plays where they just used their physicality and just battered us. But they're a weird one. You expect them to win some games away, and then they just drop, they lose games, which they've lost 3 of them. But like I said, West Calder are a good team. I think for us to get above them, it'll still be a big challenge and a big ask. But yeah, they'll certainly be thereabouts it for sure.
Lochgelly, Albert 1-4-2 home to Pumperson. Scott Russell with a hat-trick. That is a big 3 points for them. Takes them to 10 points with 15 games. And again, just getting a big one, third one of the season. It's a big 3 points for them.
Yeah, certainly. That was probably the highlight result and probably the shock result, in the leagues that we've mentioned there. Lochgelly were a club like ourselves in Edinburgh Community that were relegated last year. And I think it just works two ways. Sometimes, you know, if you bring a new coach in and bring players, you can get the luck and you can start to get a bit of momentum, what we've done. Or if you're in Kelly, sometimes you don't get a good start and you have to really battle to try and get those points. You know, so it was quite pleasing to see them get that result for sure. You know, not because it was Pumperson, but because I know the guys at Kelly and how much work and how tough last season was for them. So it's really pleasing to see them actually pick up, you know, these results, which will do a lot for the guys that are spending their time volunteering for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move into what's coming up this week. We've got a couple of games. We don't have a full selection on Saturday. We've one game on Saturday.
Yeah.
Tuesday, probably just, we're recording this 2 hours before this. Leith Athletic versus Preston Athletic. Give us a wee score prediction.
Good one. Before Christmas, I'll go for a draw on that one. Was it a cold Tuesday night?
Cold Tuesday night in Leith, yeah. Tuesday night, yeah.
Yeah, I really don't know. I know Leith have got good players as well, but you'd probably, based on the league, you'd have to go for Preston, but I don't know. I have a feeling about a draw today.
I can see a draw as well. Saturday, the one game, Socky Juniors versus Lancarty. Socky, I think 2-0.
Probably agree with you on that one, actually. Yeah. Again, it's hard to tell this time of year with availability and whatnot, but if they've got the full strength squad, why not?
Yep, absolutely. Before we wrap up, I want to ask you just about your next game. You host Linton Hotspur in the league on Saturday, the 30th of December, obviously the last game of the year. A couple of big games going on in the league at that time as well. Bathgate play Edinburgh Community, Hart Hill, Fauldhouse, Pumferson, Livingston United, Stonyburn, West Calder. But Linton Hotspur, what are you expecting? New side in the league. Have you played them before?
Yeah, we played them up at their patch. I think it was a 3-1 win for us that time. We'd had a man sent off after, I think, 30 minutes, so it was a really, really tough game. But there's been a lot of change at Linton. They've got Chris King in there as manager, and you can see every week they're bringing players in that we recognise and we've looked at ourselves and think they're good players for this division. So there's no surprise that they picked up a win recently. We're just expecting to be in for a tough game. It's a cliche, but we don't really forecast the next 8 to 10 games and say this will be a win, this will be a draw, this will be, you know, we just look at the next game as it comes. And the challenge for us to be to keep these guys focused over Christmas, get them back into training before and try and get rid of all the crap and stuff that they've eaten and drank or whatever, you know, over this period. So that'll be a tough one. I think Linton, as their squad, will probably fancy a result in this game. I think they'll be right up for it. And a win for them pushes them closer to Loch Elly. And I think for your debut season, just to consolidate is a fantastic achievement, you know. So it'll be a tough one, but looking forward to it. And I guess you could classify it as a Borders derby. So it'll be hopefully we get a good crowd up for this one. So we'll soon see.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good. It'll be all good. I'm wishing you all the best for that, Kenny. It's been a pleasure to be on, mate. Thank you very much, and best of luck for the season ahead.
You too, mate. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thanks very much to everyone who's tuned in. Cheers. Please follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube and podcast channels. Have a Merry Christmas, and we'll see you in the new year.